Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf, SOTAH, Daf Gimel. We are on the fourth line on Gimel Amar Aleph. Tanya Hoya Rabbi Meir Omer. Rabbi Meir used to teach us as follows. Adam Eiver Aveira B'Seiser. Even if one commits a sin in private, thinking that nobody will know about it, V'akadosh Baruch Hu machraz olav b'gali. Hashem then goes and publicizes it for all to know. Shenemar v'avar olav ruach kina. Here we have an Isha who's straying, thinking that it's going to remain a secret. Pasuk says v'avar olav ruach kina, that this husband will now go ahead and get involved and warn her. And the Lashon V'avar, says the Gemara, refers to publicizing her sin. Ve'ein avara el Lashon hachraza. Avara refers to a public spectacle. Everybody knows it's been announced publicly. And Rashi explains that Hashem puts it into his heart, into the heart of her husband, to get involved, to do kinui, and that becomes misparsim begoli, says Rashi, becomes revealed and known to all. Ve'ein avara el Lashon hachraza. We find that avara refers to announcement. Shenamar vayitzav Moshe vayaviru kol b'machne. Moshe Rabbeinu announced, stop bringing the donations for the Mishkan. So v'avar olav ruach kina indicates that it's something public, something known to all. Rish Lakish Amar, ein adam over avera. A person will only be tempted to do avera elim kei nichnas by ruach shetus. It only works if a person is possessed by this spirit of silliness, thinking that he can, still be an erlich yid while doing something inappropriate. You can have both together. It doesn't work. That's the ruach shtus. And that causes a person to sin, shenemar, as the pasuk says. Ish ki siste ishte. A wife will stray. Sishteksiv. It says it with a sin which can be read like a shin. Sishte can be broken down into sishte, like shaita. The only reason why she's tempted is because of this silly spirit which confuses a person. Tanad ve Rabbi Shmuel. So the following brisa was learned in the Beis Medrash of Rabbi Shmuel. Mipnei ma. Why is it so? Mipnei ma ha'emina Torah eid echad b'soita. Typically, in order to incriminate somebody, we need two witnesses. Why is SOTAH different? As we learned yesterday, once the Isha got into the kinoi stira track, once that happens, even if just one aide will come and say, well, I actually witnessed that actual inappropriate behavior, an aid of Tumah, which follows the kinei v'stira, is Ne'eman, he's believed, and she's now usher forever. You can't even give her the SOTAH to verify her status, because the Eid Echad gave Eidos about the Aveir. Why? Why is an Eid Echad Ne'eman? Typically we need two. The answer is here it's different. It's totally different than your typical situation. Shiraglaim l'davar, you have full suspicion. You have grounds to suspect that in fact something happened. She's already gone through the stage of kinui. She was warned. And then she was nistra. That's been confirmed. And on top of that, there's an aid who's sort of confirming that she in fact sinned. And that's why we believe him. This is something unique and of the ordinary. So this pasuk, Ve'ed ein bo, which tells us that even one aid is believed, is only because it's based on kinui and stira. But look at the pasuk closely. Where does the pasuk mention kinui, husband getting involved and warning? Basa stira v'tumodich siva. It's after the pasuk already mentions that she went into hiding, that she was involved in tumah through the reported to us through the Eid Echad, and afterwards it says he does kina, which seems to indicate and that the Eid Echad is believed even without the husband's kina. You're telling me it's only based on kina v'stira. Amalei, Abaye responds, true. In terms of the order of the psukim, it's mentioned later, but v'avar, it says v'avar olav ruach kina. V'avar is a reference to a past event. Ukvar avar, in the past, he had already forewarned his wife. So that was stage 1. Proceeded to stage 2, which is the stira, and ultimately there was an eid echad for the tumah. He's neman because of the raglaim l'davar, because his firm basis to suspect and a fact it happened. So v'avar is a reference to something in the past. El miyat, if that's the case, what about v'avar lochem kol cholotz? Moshe Rabbeinu is instructing the Shevet Gad, the Shevet Reuven, I'm giving you this plot across the Yarden, but you're meant to go help out when your brothers are at war. V'avar lochem kol cholotz, all your troops will go over. And it says v'avar, have already gone? Well, he's still before the fact. He's telling them in advance. Hachanami hasam? Hachanami, there as well, v'avar is something in the past, as you're telling me over here by the SOTAH. V'avar means something that already happened. The answer is, hasam over there, inevitably it means something else. Typically, v'avar is something of the past, but over there, m'dichsiv v'nichba sha'aretz v'nei Hashem, v'achar teshuvu. The pasuk continues, look, when you'll go help them and the land will be captured, and then you'll come back, and that's something which hadn't yet happened. So it's clear, mashba l'haba, that although it uses the word v'avar, which typically is a reference to a past event, over there it's something in the future. As opposed to over here by SOTAH, if in fact you'll take the psukim literally as per their order, it wouldn't really make sense, because v'avar will be basar tumah v'stira, so he'll be gripped by this spirit and go warn his wife, and this is after it already happened. She was seiser, she was tamei. What's the point? Kinu lameli, what's the point of warning her at this late stage? It's too late. So it's clear that although the term v'avar, kina, is described after the kina, the stira v'tumah, of course, it's a reference to a past event, and the proper order is kina stira, followed by a possible eidos of tumah. Tanad Rabbi Shmuel, ein adam mekanin leishtoi, elam kei nichnasa by ruach. A person only proceeds with kina if he's gripped by this spirit. Shenama va'avar alav ruach kina. V'kina is ishtoi, kina as a result of a ruach which imbues him with that spirit, with that motivation to do it. Now, my ruach, what exactly is this ruach? Is it something positive? Is embarking on this, this journey of kina v'stira considered something positive and recommended, or is it something to be avoided, as we learned yesterday, based on the first word of our Masechta, mekanin leishtoi? It's not something. It's b'di'ev. It's not something we recommend to create strife and animosity by doing it so, publicly and officially. So which way is it? Ruach is positive or negative? Is it the Yetzer Tov, or is it the Yetzer Hara masquerading and pretending to be the Yetzer Tov? So Rabbanan Amri Ruach Tumah. Rabbanan maintain it's something negative. Rav Ashi Amar Ruach Tahara. It's a positive, inspirational spirit seizing him and inspiring him to do it. Because he wants his family to be b'tahara, b'kedusha. Says the Gemara, Mistabra, in fact, it is probable, that we follow the other sheet of Ruach Tahara, that it's something positive, the Sanya, because we find two Tanoim who hold that way, as opposed to Tanav Al Mishnah, who of course disagrees. But right now we have a Brisa which seems to hold that it's something good, the Sanya. V'kinias ishtoi. This Lashon, v'kinias ishtoi. Is it something that he's supposed to be doing? Is it obligatory? Is he allowed to do it? Rishus, it's something which is optional. He can do it if he wants. He can embark on this journey of kina v'stira. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Shmuel holds it's rishus. It's not a chiyuv. It's not an obligation. If he chooses, he can go do it. Rabbi Kiva mechayva. It's obligatory. You see something inappropriate, you have to address it. So it's clear that both Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Akiva hold that something recommended, something positive. The question is, to what degree? But it's certainly not something frowned upon, right? So this works well if the ruach that the pasuk is describing is a positive ruach. Shaper, then it's consistent with these two shittas. Eli amrus ruach tuma, but if it's something negative, rushus v'chayva. Leyulei leinish ruach tuma benafshei. Is it possible that it's obligatory or it's optional? It's something that we recommend that a person should absorb and confirm and acknowledge this ruach hatuma. Apparently, it's considered positive, a positive ruach tahara. Gufa, let's go back to this machlekes between Rabbi Shmuel, who says rishus, and Rabbi Akiva holds chayva, and actually, we're going to find the same machlekes in 3 instances regarding 3 halachas in the Torah. So number 1 was kinoi of an isha. Here comes another halacha. So again, gufa kin v'kiniyas ishta rishus. That's Rabbi Shmuel. Did Rabbi Shmuel or Kiva Chayva? Next machlekes. Lo yitama. A kohen may not engage in a mace, except if it's a close relative. The pasuk says lo yitama. If it's a sister or a close relative, he can go and involve himself in bearing the mace. Is it a chiyuv, or is it just an allowance? We allow him to do it. Rishus. It's allowed, but not obligatory. Divrei, whose sheet is this? Rabbi Yishmael. Rabbi Akiva, chayva. It's a chiyuv. You must go do it. You have a special responsibility to a close relative. Umibsarcha altis alim. Go ahead and bury the mace. Next machlekes regarding owning a slave. Lo ilam behem ta'avodu. You can go ahead and enslave a goyish slave. Rishus, you're allowed to do it. Did Rabbi Shmuel? It's a chiv. You're not allowed to release a slave once you own it. So we have 3 machlekes between Rabbi Shmuel, who says rishus, Rabbi Akiva says chayva. One is SOTAH. Number 2 is the tumah of a karev for a kohen. Number 3, owning an eved. Amalei Rabbi. V'amalei samsira mishashil Rabbi. Leima Rabbi Shmuel Rabbi Akiva, shall we say at this machlekes? Is b'chol Torah kulach pligi? The same machlekes applies anywhere in the Torah. So according to Rabbi Shmuel, the Mar Omar Rishus, Rabbi Shmuel says it's always going to be Rishus. There are no absolute mitzvahs in the Torah; it's all optional. Omar Machav Rabbi Akiva says it's a chiyuv. Is that so? So there's no mitzvahs I say in the Torah that have to be done. Amalei, he says no. Here it's special. Hacha b'kroi pligi. There's a reason why there's machlekes, specifically in these 3 places, based on the psukim. So typically when there's a mitzvah, of course it's a chiyuv, but here it's different. Why? Let's focus on SOTAH first. The pasuk says v'kiniyas ishtay rishus. We see it's just a rishus. Did Rabbi Shmuel? Rekiva mechayiv. My time at Rabbi Shmuel. Why does he say it's only rishus? Savalo kaitana, because he follows the sheet of the following Tana, the Sanya. Rabbi Yaakov kalapish amra Torah. After the Torah tells us, warns us against harboring animosity towards our fellow Jew. Lo yisisna es achicha b'vavecha. One is not allowed to harbor any ill feelings towards his brother, the Yisrael. Perhaps it applies even to a husband who's going to instigate this tension in his family, in his marriage, by addressing his wife's apparent misdeeds, suspecting of wrongdoing, being mekana her, which can create this reciprocal, effect in the relationship. Perhaps that's asur because it creates sinna amongst the couple. Tamalema, the pasuk says no. Here it's different. If you have reason to suspect, you have to address it, to rectify it. Tamalema va'avar olav ruach kina, and you're allowed to do it. Don't think it's asur. No, v'kiniyas ishtay. So you need a pasuk to allow it. That's where Rishmal is coming from. It's not a chiyuv. You would think it's asur. The pasuk says it's mutter. Rabbi Akiva, who disagrees, who holds that it's a chiyuv, perhaps it's just an allowance. How do you know it's more than that? Kina achuneksiv. Pasuk mentions kina twice. V'arav alav ruach kina, and again v'arav ruach kina. So, why the repetition? One is to allow it. Don't think it's asur, it's mutter. And the second one is to make it a chiyuv. Rabbi Shmuel, how does he respond to the repetition in the pasuk? Well, I did the boile michtav. The pasuk needed to present, both possibilities. She did something wrong, v'hinitzma, and then say perhaps she didn't do something wrong. She's innocent, v'hiloinitzma. So the pasuk just chooses to repeat the same lashon twice, but it isn't necessarily teaching us more than that. Ksiv nami b'kines ishtay. So the Torah chose to repeat the full phrase again. He warned her, just in case she did become tummy. He warned her, well, maybe she didn't become tummy. But there is no special lesson in that repetition. Look at the Tana. The Rabbi Shmuel, as Rabbi Shmuel taught us elsewhere, sometimes you have that, a repetition which isn't really meant to be delved into. The Tana of Rabbi Shmuel called Parsha, Shenemar v'Nishnis. Sometimes you have a section of the Chumash teaching us a certain, concept, and then v'Nishnis, it's repeated again because the second time around, more details were added. So that's the reason for repetition. So sometimes it can come along with more words than necessary. It sort of repeats the whole thing all over again. To provide symmetry. Kol parsha shenemar v'nishnis lo nishnis. The reason for the repetition is ela b'shvil davar shenes chalish ba, just because it includes new details. Therefore, don't make any diyukim. Don't take any lesson from the fact that the Torah repeats the idea of kina twice. No. Treat it as only once. And the point is just, don't think it's aser, lo sisnas achicha. No, it's mutter, but it's not really a chayva. So now we understand the source of the machlekes, where their shitas are based on. Second example is lo yitama. A kohen typically does not engage in tumah, but a close relative, yes. Rishus, it's optional, he can do it. Divrei Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Kiva takes it a step further. Rabbi Kiva, I'm a chayva. My time at Rabbi Shmuel, where's Rabbi Shmuel coming from? I did the chsiv, the pasuk says, Emar la kehanim b'nei Aaron. V'amar ta'aleim, warn the kehanim to refrain from a tumah. Whenever shlo yitama b'amav. Any tumah is aser, that's why the Torah needs to add, well, a relative is different. There it's mutter. Not that it's chiv, it's mutter. Istricha l'michtav lo yitama. Don't worry about becoming tumah to a relative. Rabbi Kiva says, no. It's more than that. Look, we find repetition. Miki imlich she'erei nafka. Once the pasuk says, look, kohen don't become tummy except for relatives. There you go. There's your heter. Lo yitama lamali. Why does the pasuk have to repeat? Go ahead and become tummy to your relative. L'chayva. Apparently, to make it obligatory, to make it a chiyuv. Rabbi Shmuel, what does he do with this extra pasuk? Lo mitama is telling you he can only become tummy to his relative when the relative is fully intact, a full guf. That justifies tumah, ve'en metame levareah, as opposed to an incomplete mace. So if it's not a full mace, or it's an Ever Menachai, there's no head. For Rabbi Kiva, how does Rabbi Kiva know that halacha? In Cain, if it's only to teach us that, the halacha that it has to be fully intact, lichtav rachman Allah. Just say it can become, tummy to a relative, law. The full guf. You can stop right there. Why the extra word yitama lamali? Why is that needed? Shmamina, apparently it's more than just a rishus. It's telling you a chayva. But Rabbi Shmuel, he responds, as we said before, sometimes the repetition is just agav urch on account of the extra chiddush, and the other wording just come along with it. I did the kasav law. Once the pasuk said law, kasav nami yitama, it just added the word yitama to go along with it, but it isn't necessarily teaching us something new. This is consistent. Look at the Tani of Rabbi Shmuel. The Tani of Rabbi Shmuel called Parsha Shenemar v'Nishnis. Whenever we have a repetition, sometimes you can't really delve into every word of that repetition. Lo nishnis ela b'shvil davar shenes chalish ba. Next machlekes regarding owning an evet. Lo ilam be'em ta'avodu. You can do it. You don't have to. Rishus. Div Rabbi Shmuel. Once you own the evet, there's an isser of releasing that evet. We're speaking about an evet Kanani, a non-Jewish slave. My time at the Rabbi Shmuel, where's Rabbi Shmuel coming from? Pasuk seems to say, Lo elam be'em ta'avodu. You have to hold on to them for all time without releasing them. So why does he say it's only a rishus? I did the chsiv. You see, once the pasuk tells us, Lo yisachayik al neshama, when Yisrael entered Eretz Yisrael, don't leave any of the 7 nations alive. So, who says you can actually purchase an Eved. Istrich nami lemichtav lo'elam tavodu. That's why the Torah has to come back and say, no, it's okay to own an Eved. And of course, we're not speaking about an ordinary, local, native, a Kanani. On that. You can't own him. Rather, we're speaking about a sort of a mixed marriage. Lemishri echad, to allow a case where echad mikol umas, you have a foreigner, a guy from another nation outside Eretz Yisrael, Shabal a Kananis, who came to live with a Kananis woman, and had a child. That son relates to his father. When it comes to the Goysha Yichus, it's all about the father. So he identifies with a non-Kanani as a father. Shata Rasha Leknoisa, the Torah allow you to purchase that son as a slave. The son, as we learned in a Brisa, how do we know that if in fact a foreigner came, Shabal Kanan came to the Eretz Canaan and got involved with a Kananis and a Ben and they had a child? Shata Rasha Leknoisa Eved, that one could purchase that son as an Eved and own him as an Eved. Talmud Loimar, that's what the pasuk says like this. A fully local child is asur. But if his father came from elsewhere, that child relates to his father and is not considered a Kanani. So we have a man who typically follows, goes to the native city of the mother's hometown. Rashi Nivama says that. That's the derech of an ish, to go live where the isha lives. It's actually a pasuk in the Torah, as Rav Rusa points out. He abandoned his father and mother, so to speak, and he goes to live where his wife lives. So that seems to be the derech. And that's exactly what the pasuk is describing, that type of case. That you have bnei teshavim, hagorim imchem, that this is a son of a dweller amongst you. It means the fellow came from elsewhere. The man came from elsewhere. He's not a Kanani. There's no din of leisachai kol neshama on him. He's living here now, together with the Kananis. This Ben, this child, relates to the father, and you can own him. V'gam net hasham magarim imchem mehem tiknu. You can purchase from these people. So the pasuk is needed. The pasuk has to tell you that you can do it. Otherwise you would think, well, he's a Kanani. No. He's mutter. What about the other way around? You have a Kanani man. He went out to a different country, got involved with an Isha from a different nation. They had a son. And now the father returned to Eretz Yisrael, and the son followed him. What about that child? Perhaps I can purchase that child as well. No. It's only mutter. In the first case, where the foreigner came here and they had a child here, in that case the child relates to his father, is not a Kanani. Only ones who were born in your land, as opposed to the reverse situation, where you have a Kanani man who went elsewhere to have a child and came back and brought that son with him. That son is a full Kanani because his father is as such. So bottom line, we need the pasuk of L'olam behem ta'avodu to allow one to purchase this son who's like a half a Kanani. He's mutter to be purchased as an Eved. So it's not a chayva, it's just a rishus to allow it. Rabbi Kiva responds, I understand. We need to learn that halacha, but we have two psukim. We have the pasuk you just mentioned, right? Right? Mehem tiknu nafka, says Rabbi Kiva. Well, that's learned from the pasuk you just mentioned. Why do we need? The question is, why do we need the other pasuk? Why is that needed? That's a repetition, apparently. First pasuk is to allow it, and the second pasuk is coming lichayva. It's obligatory. Once you own the Eved, you can't release it. Rabbi Shmuel responds, why do we need two psukim? The heter can be learned from mehem. So what about lo'olam behem ta'avodu, the other pasuk? If it's not coming to teach you chayva, what then is it coming to teach? The answer is behem You can enslave the guy, v'loi ba'achechem, not your fellow Jew. So an Eved Ivri, a Jewish Eved, has to be treated with more differently, equally, has equal treatment to the owner of the Yid. Rabbi Yehuda responds by saying, sure, we need to know that halacha, but that can be learned from a different pasuk. Ba'achechem. What to do with your fellow Jew, who's your Eved? Misefa de kornafka. That's learned from the next part of the pasuk. Pasuk reads, Lo elam em tavoidu, u'ba'achechem b'nei Yisrael. Ish ba'achev, be careful. Lo yisir de b'farach. Don't treat him like the other Eved, like the Eved Kanani. Misefa de kornafka. U'ba'achechem b'nei Yisrael. Ish ba'achev lo yisir de b'farach. You can't enslave him like a regular Eved. So this idea is learned from that part of the pasuk. Leaving the first part of the pasuk, the words "Lo'olam b'hem tavodu," extra words to teach us there's a chayva to enslave the Eved Kanani. No, what does Rabbi Shmuel do with this extra pasuk? Rabbi Shmuel, like before, once the Torah wants to, repeat, to mention something extra, it just repeats the whole thing. I did the chsiv ba'achechem. Once the pasuk got into the idea of achechem, chsiv nami b'hem. So it started with a reference to a regular Eved to sort of draw that contrast. A regular Eved, you can enslave him, regular. But by Chechem, your fellow Jew, you have to treat him as yourself. Look at the Tana de Rabbi Shmuel, right? The Tana de Rabbi Shmuel, called Parsha Shenemra V'Nishnis. When we have a repetition in a Parsha, Lo Nishnis Ela B'Shval Davash Nitzchalish Ba, there's a new lesson, a new detail being presented, and on account of that, more, language, flowery language can come along with that, but it isn't necessarily coming to teach us anything extra. So in summation, we have machlokes between Rabbi Shmuel, who says Rishus, Rabbi Kiva, who says Chayva, and it pertains to 3 instances. Mekana li'ishtay, Tumah by the Karev of a Kohen, and Lo'ilam b'hem tavoidu with the Eved Kanani. Rav Chizda, Zenusa b'beisa, when there's inappropriate behavior, immoral behavior in one's home, it's destructive to the fabric of that household, like a karya, like a worm, which eats away at the sesame seeds. It just eats away at the fabric of the whole family, the whole household. Likewise, if there's anger and tension in one's home, it has the same effect. It just destroys the fabric of their relationship. But in both instances, it's only a real concern if the woman is involved in these inappropriate behaviors because she's the one who really keeps the house going. But if it's the man doing it, as terrible as it may be, but it doesn't have the same destructive effect, less lamba. Initially, Koydem Shechatu Yisrael, before Klal Yisrael got involved in Chet of Arayis, perhaps it's referring to the Bnei Smidya there. So before that happened, Shechina's presence would be found in every Yid's home. Shenamar ki Hashem Elokecha mishalech b'kerev machanecha, in your home. Kiven shechatu, once they sinned, nistalko shchinam hem, that chased away the shchina. Shenemar v'lo yirah b'cha erva stavar. What happens if there's erva v'shav mecharecha? Hashem's shchina will recede from you. Amar Rab Shmuel bar Nachmani, Amar Rabbi Yehuda, kol ois mitzvah achas b'el mazeh. If one does only even one mitzvah in this world, it's an eternal accompaniment. Mikad Mosai, V'lechas Lafana V'lamaba, in the world to come, it will pave the way for you. It's going to herald your arrival. It's going to announce your coming. It's going to parade in front of you. Shanamar Ba'halach Lafanecha Tzidkecha, your tzidka, your righteousness will walk before you. If one commits an aver in this world, and it wraps him and goes before him to the Yom Hadin. Their inappropriatenesses will enwrap them and bring them to destruction. It's even more than that. It's wrapped with a person like a dog. You feed a dog, it just hangs around. You can't get it away from you. Likewise, the chet will be attached to the person. Shnamar, we find when Yosef HaTzadik refused the Isha's Nisayan there, Lishkav esel liyas ima, he refused to be with her. Liyas ima, the extra lashon is referring to the association lo'ilam haba as well, because an avera just sticks to the person, and he kept away totally from the avera. Lishkav esla ba'olam hazeh, that's referring to the sin in this world, but the expression of liyas ima, that's referring to the otherworldly association olam haba. Okay, back to SOTAH. It's not. We have a Mishnah which makes reference to the halacha we learned yesterday, that, we have the three stages, right? We have the kinoi, then we have stira, warning, then going into hiding, then we have hashka of the meisot. Now what happens if the kinoi is stira, if there's tumah? We learned before, even one aid is neman. He comes and tells us about an actual interaction as married with another man, if that occurred after kinei v'stira, which presents the raglayim l'davar, the firm, basis for that suspicion, then even an eid echad is neman. Okay, we learn this from the pasuk. If the eid ain't ba, even one aid works in this case. But when it comes to kinei v'stira, there we need two eidim, at least according to Rabbi Yehuda yesterday. Question is, why don't we compare? Tanan Hasan, listen to this Mishnah. Shayu B'din, because we could use the following limud to teach us otherwise. Uma edus rishayna, she'ein isar to isur olam. Look, since the even the first edus, meaning the edus of stira, the edus which tells us that she went into hiding, that edus doesn't have such a detrimental effect on the isha. It's not a permanent isur. It's only usur until she goes and drinks and verifies her status. Still, even though it's not such a weighty, and consequential event, you can only accomplish it with two eidim. Less than two eidim doesn't work. So we need two eidim that you went into hiding. Certainly the edus achrona, the final edus, meaning the edus of tumah, which actually has a more detrimental effect on the isha she'isar to isur olam. It makes a permanent isur. Don't you think that we should need two eidim for that? Ein din shaloi teskayim b'bachas mishnayim tamalayim about a pasuk. Even one eid is neman. Ve'eid ein bo kol sheyesh bo, any type of eidus is neman. Now let's go backwards. V'kal v'chomer. Once this is an established fact that for tumah one eid is enough, v'kal v'chomer le'eidus rishonim ma'ata. Let's draw from here to eidus of stira. Uma eidus achroina she'isar to isur olam. Even the edus of tumah, which is so consequential, miskayemas be'ed echad, one edus is enough for that. Certainly the edus of rishona, the earlier edus, the edus of going into hiding, she'ena strat Israel, which does not have that same permanent effect on the isha ena din. Of course, this kind be'ed echad, one edus should be enough for that time. We have a gzeira shava that two edim are needed in terms of edus. When it comes to these things, we have a man suspecting his wife of inappropriate behavior, he gives her a get. The pasuk describes the experience as matzah ba'erevas davar. Right, so we have the word davar. We connect it to the word davar in a different context. Also, we have by financial matters al bishnei edim, al bishleish edim yakum davar. So facts can only be established by way of a proper edus of 2 or 3 edim. We connect it back to our pasuk. Ma davar, just as the word davar, Ha'amar lahalan, which is mentioned in the other context, is mentioned together with 2 edim, al pi shnayim edim, afkan there as well. In the pasuk of kimotza be'erbas davar, davar is a reference to a situation where you have 2 edim al pi shnayim. So now we know that you can only accomplish the isra of stira when you have 2 edim. Asks the Gemara, why do we need a new gzeira shava? Hi michi motza be'ervas davar nafka. Is that learned from the gzeira shava? Mi ba nafka. We already had the pasuk yesterday. By tuma it says eid ein ba. 1 eid is believed, but dafka ba. And here, in this case, mi ba nafka ba. Only by tuma, v'loi bekinoi, not by kinoi. Then we need 2 eidim. Ba. Only by tuma, 1 eid is enough. V'loi bestira, not by stira. Why do we need a new gzeira shava today? Mi ba ilay. Answers the Gemara, hachi nami ka'amar. It's exactly what the pasuk means. The brayso meant. We know that when there was kinei v'stira properly, followed by an aid of tumah, even 1 aid is believed. What about kinei v'stira? No, you need 2 eidim. Why? Because of ba. Tamalayim are ba. Ba v'lei b'kinei, ba v'lei v'stira. When it comes to kinei v'stira, 2 eidim are needed. So that's an established fact. The Brisa wasn't really discussing that. So we misunderstood the Brisa. The Brisa now was proceeding to another avenue. V'tumah ba'alma, b'loi kinoi, or b'loi stira. What if there was no kinoi, no stira, just out of the blue? An Eid Echad comes and reports that an Isha was Mazana. D'loi mehem an Eid Echad. Manila. How do we know that Eid Echad is not believed? For that we need the Gzera Shava. Ne'emar kan ki motza b'dvar eres davar. Here we have the word eres davar. But ne'emar lahalan, elsewhere we have apishnayim edim or apishleish edim Yaakov davar. We connect the two. We say ma davar ha'omer lahalan edim eshnayim. Just as davar over there is in the context of two edim, afkan here as well. Ki motza eres davar is in the context of edim shnayim. Okay, so let's summarize today's daf. We had a big machlekes. Hamakan li'ishtay. In our Mishnah, it seems that it's not something we recommend. Do it, quietly, under wraps. Don't make a whole big deal about it, which may create a scene and generate animosity and tension between the husband and wife. Whereas in today's daf, we have two Tanoim who disagree. They hold that it's actually something recommended. Rabbi Shmuel says Rishus, Rabbi Kiva says Chayva, and the same machlekes we have by the kohen being tamei to a relative. Is it just optional or is it required? The same with owning an Eved Kanani. Once you have him, can you just let him go? According to Rabbi Shmuel, yes. According to Rabbi Kiva, there's a chiv to hold on to the Eved. In fact, there's a mitzvah saseh. If one releases him, the Gemara Bracha says that Rabbi Lezer was Meshachar Avdai, released his Eved Kanani. You know why? Because they were short a man. They only had 9 men for the minyan. So he was Meshachar the Eved, despite the fact that he's Eiver Ba'aseh, because the mitzvah of the minyan, the mitzvah of the rabbim, overrode that concern. Chiddush in the Gemara and Brachas. We learned about the importance of maintaining purity in one's home, maintaining one's equanimity, avoiding chaos and tension and strife. We learned about the beautiful experience of doing a mitzvah b'olam hazeh, and in contrast to the Aveira experience. And then we concluded that when it comes to Kini V'stira, perhaps 2 Eidim are needed. Tumah, which follows that experience, does not need 2 Eidim. Even 1 Eid is believed, but just out of the blue, an Eid of Tumah, 1 Eid is not enough. And that is learned through the Gzera Shava, Davar. When it comes to these matters, it only works with a pair of Eidim. All the best to you, Hatzlacha Rava, and B'sura Sevis.